Happy Friday afternoon, everyone. This, as promised, is a flip through of the Little Women junk journal that I have just completed. It is 2 signatures. It is made from a vintage modern abridged edition by Whitman Publishers. I want to say it's early to mid 60s. I've kept the original cover as is. I haven't added anything other than just the fabric for the spine. And it's sewn together with a pamphlet stitch using red waxed twine. And it's tied with a couple of strands of this beautiful rich red sari silk. This journal has 2 signatures, as I said. Each one has 21 folded sheets each, so 42 total pages times 2 in the whole book would be 84, or 168 back and fronts. It is 7 3/4 inches tall, 5 1/2 inches wide, and a 1 1/2 inch spine. Now let me say that this journal is very full, as you can see, very, very full, very chunky. I had so much that I wanted to put in here. I probably should have, in hindsight, made it a 3 signature, but I did not want to make it because it's such a, it's more of a smaller book, and so I didn't want to overwhelm the book cover. I normally like them to be just a little bit larger if I'm going to do 3 signatures, or at least a little more square. But there is a lot of writing space in here. I made sure to make that a priority, probably mostly because Joe was a writer, and whoever gets this journal is probably a writer as well, if I'm guessing. Or you could just be a Little Women story enthusiast. So there, instead of having a lot of pockets, I try to mainly clip things to the pages. That's why you see all of these little trims. These are all on paper clips. I just wanted to make sure that there would be plenty of spaces on cards and pages as well for writing. Okay, now that that is all behind us and said, let's show the inside to you guys. At the bottom of the little twine, I have tied just some very basic, nothing fancy, because, they were not super elaborate, not a super elaborate family, the March family, so I didn't want to go over the top with this, but just a few little dangles there. All of the digitals used in this, I will try to link my sources below in the description box. So here we have a book page pocket that has been stamped and embossed, and I put a label here for you. And this is just a quote from, I don't know if it's the author of the book or from Joe, but it was wrapped around a gift version of this book that I had in my own collection. So I cut that out, and then we have a tag here. This is some wallpaper digitals from TaylorMadeJournals. Here's a patchwork pocket, and inside we have a little decoupage style with writing, just a little journaling sheet, and then this beautiful painting that I found, and it just reminded me of maybe one of the March girls reading a letter that they had received from their father. And then here, this is a copy from National Cookbook of a few recipes for desserts that would have been popular then. And I've distressed the back of most of the pages in here too, so they would all look very, very old. I think I had it this way. This is a book about Shaker furniture. Clipped here, we have a book page that I thought looked very Little Women-like, and it's a poem about Thanksgiving Day. And then here is a reproduction of some song music called My Pet Canary. Sheet music, I'm sorry. I think it's a piano piece. So that's put in there in honor of Beth. stamped image here in a dictation textbook page. Right here we have a sheet of tracing paper. Here's a tuck spot with the March family, and this is from a book about New England. Here is a reproduction of a receipt. And then just a little floral journaling card. This is from an Ideals magazine, actually. I thought it was a New England book, but it's an Ideals magazine. This is coffee dyed paper, and I've sewn some, I believe this is tea stained lace. And then I have a little dangle here. I stamped the names of some of the characters and put them on some of the pages throughout. This page has been sprayed with coffee, and just the back of a scrapbook page. And then we have a stamped image here on a journaling card. This is one of the illustrations from the book that was in public domain. And here is an ice skating advertisement from an old newspaper. This is a book of quotes, and so I chose the page of quotes from Lincoln. This is an encyclopedia page for children, and it's about Louisa May Alcott, and it has a velvet tab here. This is an image, I believe this was sent to me in Happy Mail from Angela. I just cut it out and glued it down to this page. It looked like Joe and Aunt March in my mind. And this is a book, a literature book, and it's just about one-act plays. So it's in honor of the plays that the girls put on for their family. There's Meg's name. This is a book about rug making. And then here we have a tuck spot. This is a picture of the actual March home. I thought the color was so beautiful. And then we have this little journaling card with a little girl and her doll. And this was from Harper's Weekly. It was a sort of like a Christmas Eve greeting slash pray for your soldiers in the middle of the Civil War. And so I thought that was very fitting. This is a piece of coffee sprayed parchment. This is a German sheet music page. The German things in here are in honor of Professor Bauer, I think that's how you say it, and the Hummel family. There were two German characters in here. And then this is antique lace on this paper clip. And then in here, there's a wax seal. I don't know who gave me this in Happy Mail, but inside of this envelope, I've written an address on it. I copied the letter that Beth wrote to her mother when she was visiting their father and put it in here. And this is just a page from a book about mothers, and I thought it was so gorgeous and had to add it. This sheet has been stamped with a rose. I've glued a piece of embroidery here. This is from a very old, I want to say this is from the Apples of Gold book that I have in my stash, and so this page is from about 1887, so it's very old. And then this is a sheet of, the center signatures have coffee dye paper that I received from Marnell. Thank you, Marnell, for this. Gorgeous, and when I saw it, I immediately knew it had to go in my little linen journals. This is a picture from, I believe it's Godey's Ladies book, and so it was like the chief fashion magazine of the day. Most of the illustrations in it were black and white, but I think they were later colorized, and so that's one of the ones that were colorized. And then here is an ice cream receipt. I put this in there because I believe Teddy's grandfather, Mr. Lawrence, had ice cream delivered to them, if I'm remembering correctly. And then here's another piece from that. Oh, this is not the same magazine. This is a French advertisement for some of the latest fashions. So anything French in here, of course, is in honor of Beth and her travels. On this side, we have a picture of Louisa May Alcott. And then a rose postcard. And I've put a little date at the bottom. And then here's a little tuck spot with a doily. And I've just put in a journaling card with a little collage. And then clipped here with a, I think this is called a bulldog clip. I created a dance card that might have been used by Meg and Joe at the dance that they went to on New Year's Eve. And so I've tied it with, or put a little wrist string. This is antique silk embroidery thread. And then this is a map that I found online of Massachusetts about that time. Plenty of writing space, as you can see. Lots of places tucked away for you to journal. This is the title page from the book. I've sewn it here. My daughter did a watercolor for me of a canary to represent Beth's little canary Pip, and there he is. This is tea-dyed muslin that I made into a ruffle. Here's another page from the book that I've turned into a full-page pocket, and this is the back of the page about Louisa May Alcott. So in here we have another fashion page made into a card, and then here's a stamped and embossed image. And my daughter also painted this picture of a lime for me because I wanted to bring out the somewhat funny part of the story about the limes with Amy. And here's a quote from Amy. A little ruffle from sheet music. Here's an embossed vellum envelope. And it just has a small piece of coffee dyed paper inside for journaling. I love how crinkly the vellum gets. Much more crinkly it gets when you use an embosser. This is a piece of tea-dyed lace as well. And I've crafted this little, this is an image that I found online of a wedding card, and I just made a little booklet. And here's a picture of a girl playing piano. I imagined it to be Beth. And then here is a tag made from the offcuts of some of the pages used. There's Joe's name. Here we have a fabric flip with some vintage lace, a piece of a quilt. This is also a piece from a quilt, and a little piece of muslin. Okay, right here in the second signature, we have a little matchbook notebook with one of the March's cats. Just a little place for you to write some notes. Here's some sheet music that's sort of a folded pocket. And inside here, I have a clip art of a piano, and then a journaling card, and then this vintage receipt. Not receipt, I'm so sorry. Prescription. Since Beth was sick and the doctor came a couple times, I wanted to put a prescription in here. This, I used just a teacup to make some staining on this page, and it kind of came through to the other side. This is a piece of upholstery fabric, dictionary page, stamped page. This is, I learned how to make this from Wishes and Weaves. Now mine is not nearly as intricate as hers, and she actually did some hand sewing of pearls on hers, but this is just a lace collage snippet type page edge, and I love making these. I'm gonna have to make more. This is a little gift sack. Christmas morning, 2 little girls, and a postcard. And then this is a marriage certificate that's not been filled out. You can fill that out if you'd like, or just journal on the back. Here's a German textbook. This is from another book about Little Women that I had in my collection, and this is the scene with Joe and Teddy, or Laurie, ice skating. And the fabric pocket on the back. Another picture of Louisa. Another journaling card. And another receipt. And then this is a little vintage doily that I glued down. This is the page from the New England book. I knew there was one in here somewhere. And then tucked in here we have a reproduction or a copy of a postcard and another image from another illustrator of the book. Here's a sheet of scrapbook paper that has a pocket on the inside sewn in, and another lady's fashion image, a journaling card. This is a page from a very, very old French book that I got in Happy Mail from Jayne. Thank you, Jayne. And this is a sheet of, I think Jayne also gave me this. This is a sheet from a Sears catalog with a piano. And it's pretty brittle as well. Some more muslin there. Stamped page, another encyclopedia page. My daughter did this for me as well. It's just a little paint swatch card that we imagined that Amy would have made. And just a sheet of journaling page. Beth's name. This is from a Shakespeare book. This is a gift sack that I received when I was shopping in a local store, and it had old ads. I'm sure you've seen these, but I turned it into a page. And we have another dangle here. And then clipped to that, we have some gloves. And then I put a quote down here about Meg's glove that Teddy said later on in the book. And here's a little frame and another page from Godey's Fashions. This is a page from a scrapbook that I was so generously given by Mary of Plethora of Paper. I was afraid that the pages would tear if I folded them, but they did. They held up really well, and they're so nice feeling and they're substantial. So I love the way this is printed. So I wanted to put this in here, and I put the one that said teacher. Amy's name, piano paper, a botanical field guide. Some more of that paper from Marnell. Isn't that gorgeous? And then this is just an image that I thought maybe looked like Amy when she was young, and another receipt. Clipped here, we have an ice coupon. I believe this is from Angela. And another image from the book. I think this is when, I don't want to speak for what it is if I don't really remember. I think this is when Beth was sick and Laurie was there to comfort Joe. And then this is a very old postcard, a birthday postcard. That's in rough shape, but I thought it went perfectly with this book because of the roses. I'll just put a date down here. quote from Lori, a quote from Mrs. March or Marmee, another patchwork pocket, another similar journaling card. This is just a little card I made with, I put Pip's name on it because in the cage you can see a canary, or maybe two, and then a little tack. This is another quote, and this is a journaling card talking about the little fence where Joe and Lori used to meet and talk. And this is just, I believe I got this in Happy Mail, or it might have been inside a journal that I won in a contest, but the colors and everything about it just made me realize I need to put it in this journal. And another painting of a little girl with a canary. And then here we have a vintage yo-yo and some lace. Another illustration. I think this is Meg and Mr. Brooke. And then the girls again. And this is a very old, circa 1880s, I think, photograph of Paris. Clipped here, I put a little, I want to be careful with this because it's very old, a little remnant piece of a snaps and hooks, or hook and eye closure, and then a quilt square, an unfinished quilt square. I put a black lace pocket in here to represent mourning for Beth. And tucked inside we have that scene from Joe and Beth at the beach, seashore, I guess you would call it, and another frame and a reproduction postcard. And then this is actually in my own personal collection from childhood. This is one of the dresses in a Godey's Ladies fashion book paper doll set that I had by Dover Publications. So I put that dress in there. I'm sure the March girls played with paper dolls. This is the quote from the professor. This is a little tea card, wildflowers, and this is a picture of Amy and Laurie, and here's a advertisement for a corset. And here's some sari silk I made to a ruffle. The colors went perfectly with the book. Another quote from Joe, or sort of, a little paragraph anyway. This is from the book that I used to make this journal. This is a picture of the 4 girls, and I embossed it. And then another tiny little picture of the March house and Louisa, and a little Merry Christmas enclosure card from that time period. And the last page has a beautiful fabric flip. You can see some of the fabric here that I took it from. I just thought the red poppies needed to be in this journal because of the colors and the way it went with the green. Okay, that is it. Thank you for watching. Now, the journal will be listed in my Etsy shop tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you would like to purchase, head over and be there when it lists. It will go up right at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And I appreciate all of you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this flip through. This was such a fun journal to make. I will definitely be making more from this time period, and literature-based journals. It was so fun to sort of run with the theme of what the story gave as clues, and I considered it quite a challenge for myself, and I had fun every moment. So thank you again for joining me, and I hope you have a relaxing, wonderful weekend. Bye-bye.